The kingdom of my divine will in the midst of creatures. Book of Heaven, Volume 34, Part 16. July 25th, 1937. How an act in the divine will can be a mighty wind, a celestial air, and atmosphere. 3 circles. If God loves, he operates. If he speaks, he gives. The sea of the divine volition always murmurs, and many times it forms its mighty waves to storm the creatures, to envelop them with its loving waves, to give them its life. But with such insistence and loving pushiness, as if it were in need of us, poor creatures, that one remains stupefied. Oh, how true it is that only God knows how to love us! Now, while my mind was wandering within this sea, my sweet Jesus, surprising me with his short little visit, told me, "Blessed daughter of my volition, did you see how sweet was the murmuring of the sea of my will? And also the souls who live in it do nothing other than murmur together in this sea. Perfect echo of my fiat, they never cease to murmur love, glory, adoration, but in a simple way. If they breathe, they murmur love. If they palpitate, if blood circulates in their veins, if they think, if they move, in everything they murmur, love, love, glory to our Creator. And if they call my will into their acts, they form mighty waves to envelop God and the creatures, so that all, heaven and earth, may do one single will. An act in my will can be a mighty wind, such as to transport and uproot with its strength passions, weaknesses, bad habits, the putrefied air of sin, and substitute them with virtues, divine strength, holy habits, and the sanctifying air of my will. An act in my will can be a universal air, which, penetrating everywhere and in every one, day and night, can let itself be breathed, in order to infuse its life, its sanctity, and dispelling the sickly air of the human will, it substitutes it with the salutary air of my fiat, in such a way as to let creatures remain sweetened, embalmed, vivified, healed by this divine air. An act in my fiat can be a celestial atmosphere, which, enclosing within itself all our works and the very creation, with the strength of our works, storms our divinity, and imposes itself on us, to make us give graces and gifts, such as to render the creatures capable of receiving the kingdom of our will. An act in our will can contain such wonders that the creature is incapable of comprehending all of its value. Jesus became silent, and I remained as though soaked within this sea. And I don't know how, I felt myself being transported into the celestial fatherland, in the midst of 3 circles of light, at the top of which there was the Queen of Heaven on one side, and our Lord on the other, with an enchanting beauty and an unspeakable love. In between these there was a multitude of souls, all transformed into the light in which they lived and grew, but kept, directed, and nourished by Jesus and by the Celestial Mother. How many beautiful surprises could be seen! These souls possessed the likeness and the life of their Creator. And my sweet Jesus and his mother told me. These circles of light that you see are a symbol of the sacrosanct Trinity, and the souls are those who will form the kingdom of the divine will. This kingdom will be formed within the bosom of the divinity. The rulers of this kingdom will be us, the Mother and the Son, who will keep it with jealousy. See then the certainty of this kingdom. It is already formed, because in God things are as though already done. Therefore pray that what is there in heaven may be realized on earth. After this I found myself inside myself, with the highest sorrow of finding myself again inside the poor imprisonment of my body. Then, later, my highest good, Jesus, all goodness, told me, "My daughter, our divine being is all love, and this love is so great that we feel the need to issue this love outside of us. Nor do we care whether the creature deserves it or not. Had we wanted to care about merit, the whole of creation would still be inside our bosom. When we love, we operate. In fact, we loved, and we created the creation. And as gift of our generosity and of the excess of our operating love, we gave it to man as gift. We don't like giving our gifts as recompense or as merit. Where could he possibly find enough coins to pay for our gifts, or as many acts to deserve them? It would be like hampering our love, repressing it within us, and giving nothing to the creature, and not even loving her, because if we love, then we must operate and give. Our Supreme Being finds itself so very often in such delirium of love that we feel the need to issue from our divine womb gifts and graces to give to creatures. But in order to form these gifts, we must love and manifest them so as to make them known. Hence, if we love, we operate. If we speak, our creative word delivers the gift, confirms it, and endows the creature with our gifts. Our word is the bearer, and puts us in the condition of pouring out our constrained love. But do you want to know why we do not give our gifts as recompense or as merit? Because we give them to our children. And when gifts are given to one's children, one doesn't care whether they deserve them. They are given because one loves them. At the most, they are made to be comprehended. Here is the necessity of the word, so that they may appreciate the gifts, keep them, and love the one who gave them and who so much loves them. On the other hand, it is to servants or to strangers that they are given as recompense or as merit. And oh, with how many measures! So, in the excess of our love, without anyone praying us or deserving it, we made the creation to make of it a gift for man. In another excess, we created the Virgin to donate her as a gift. In another excess, I, Eternal Word, descended from heaven in order to donate myself and give myself sweet prey to man. In another greater excess of love, I will give them the great gift of the kingdom of my will. The celestial Virgin, heiress of this kingdom, will call the creatures as her children that they may receive the gift of her great inheritance. Now, my daughter, if the soul lets my divine will reign, her love will no longer be sterile, but fecund, nor will it be reduced to mere words, or to just works. She will feel the creative strength of our love within herself, and will be placed in our same conditions, that if we love, we operate, and if we operate, we give. But what do we give? The great gift of our divine being. Our love is so great that if we give, we want to give everything, even our very selves. Pray to the creature. Our love would not be content if it did not say, I have given everything. I had nothing left to give her. More so, since by her possessing our will, we are safe. We dwell in our home with all the decorum, the honors, the decency that befits us. The same with the creature. By possessing our same creative strength, if she loves us, inside her love, she will give us the gift of her life as the requital of our gift. Hence, it is life that we will give each other, and each time she will love us, our creative strength will multiply her life so that she may give it to us as gift. Her love will not remain isolated, but with the fullness of its life that gives itself prey to its creator. Hear then how both sides, between creator and creature, are equaled. Life does she receive as gift, and life does she give. And if the creature has her limits, my will makes up for her. More so, since in giving us her life as gift, she gives us everything. She keeps nothing for herself, and so our love remains satisfied and requited. Therefore, if you want to give us everything and receive everything from us, let our will reign in you, and everything will be granted to you. Fiat. August 2nd, 1937. How creation possesses the perfect happiness, such as to be able to give terrestrial happiness to the creatures. How sin stopped the happiness. The great evil of one who moves away from his origin. Example. I was doing my round in creation, to follow the acts of the divine will done in it. And oh, how many surprises! Each created thing contained such happiness as to be able to render everything and every one happy. And my always lovable Jesus, seeing me surprised, all goodness, told me, my daughter, our Supreme Being possesses the font of happiness. Therefore not one thing or being that was not happy could come out of us. So the whole of creation possesses such fullness of happiness as to be able to give perfect terrestrial happiness to all the earth. Hence, Adam enjoyed the fullness of happiness. All created things poured upon him joys and happinesses. And then in his interior, by possessing my will, he contained seas of contentments, of beatitudes, and joys without end. Everything was happiness for him, inside and out. As soon as he sinned, by withdrawing from my will, joy departed from him, and all created things withdrew into their bosom the joys that they possessed, giving to man, not as to the owner, but as to an ungrateful servant, the mere necessary means. See then, unhappiness did not come out of us, nor could we give it, since we had none. To give what one does not possess is impossible. So it was sin that cast into man the seed of unhappiness, of sorrow, and of all the evils that surround him inside and out. Then, as the celestial lady, and then my most holy humanity, came upon earth, the whole of creation assumed the attitude of feast. They smiled at us with joy, and resumed their course of pouring joys and happiness upon us. As we would go out of the house, they would run, they would bow, and unleash joys and happiness over us. The sun would give us the joys of its light. It would gladden our sight with the variety of its colors. It would give us the joys of the kisses of love it possessed, and reverent, would lay itself under our feet to adore us. The wind would pour upon us the joys of freshness, and with its blowing would drive away from us the putrid air of so many sins. The birds would run around us to give us the joys of their trills and singing. How many beautiful melodies they formed for us! So much so that I would be forced to command them to move from around me, and to take flight in the air, to sing hymns to their Creator. The earth would bloom under my feet, to give me the joys of so many bloomings, and I would command to it not to make such display for me, and it would obey me. The air would bring me the joys of our omnipotent breath, when, breathing upon man, we gave him life, filling him with divine joys and happinesses. And as I breathed, so did I feel, coming to me, our joys and happinesses that we experienced in the creation of man. So there was not a created thing that did not want to unleash the joys that they possessed, not only to delight me, but to give me the homages and honors as their Creator. And I offered them to my celestial Father, to give him the glory, the honor, the homage, the love, for such magnificence, and so many marvelous works that we did in creation for love of man. Now, my daughter, these joys in the created things still exist. The creation, just as it was made by us, with so much opulence and sumptuousness, and with the fullness of happiness, has lost nothing, because we are waiting for our children, the children of our will, who by right will enjoy the joys and terrestrial happiness that all creation possesses. I can say that it is for love of these children that creation still exists, and that the other creatures can use, if not the fullness of happiness, at least the necessary things to be able to live. This actual existence of creation, after so much human ingratitude and so many horrifying sins, says the certainty of the kingdom of my will upon earth. In fact, by possessing it, the creature will become capable of receiving the joys of creation, of giving us the glory, the love, the requital of what we have done for her, and of doing all possible and imaginable good that the creature can do. Therefore, everything is in possessing our will, because this is how the whole creation had its origin, man included. Everything was will of ours. All lived enclosed in it, and in it Did they find whatever they wanted? Joys, peace, perfect order. Everything was at their disposal. Once man moved away from his origin, all things changed their appearance. Happiness changed into sorrow, strength into weakness, order into disorder, peace into war. Poor man without my will, he is the true blind one, the poor paralyzed one, such that if he manages to do anything good at all, it is all struggles and bitternesses. In all things, if they are conducted from within the origin by which they received their existence, they find their way, a firm step, and the happy outcome of the works or goods that were started. But if they lose their origin, they turn upside down, they vacillate, lose the way, and end up being incapable of doing anything. And if it seems that they do something, it is something that arouses pity. This happens also in the human things. If a teacher wanted to teach to his pupil the consonants but not the vowels, since the vowels run in each word, in each letter, from the lowest science up to the highest, poor boy, he would never learn how to read. And if he wanted to, he might lose his mind. What is it that produces all this evil? The shifting away from the origin of that science, which are the vowels. Ah, my daughter, as long as man does not return into his origin, does not re-enter into my divine will, my creative work will be a broken and dislocated work. Poor man, without the first vowels of my divine will, as much as I may give him light and talk to him, he will not understand me, because he lacks the origin. He lacks the first vowels to be able to read my lessons on my Fiat. And therefore, without basis, without foundation, without teacher, without defense, his insanity is such that he does not even know his poor state, and therefore he does not implore to re-enter into my will in order to learn the first vowels with which he was created by God, to be able to continue learning the true celestial science, and in this way form all his fortune, both on earth and in heaven. This is why I keep whispering to the ear of his heart, "My son, come back into my will. Come into your origin, if you want to resemble me, if you want me to recognize you as my child." Oh, how painful it is to have children who are not like me, disennobled, poor, degraded, unhappy. And why all this? Because they rejected the great inheritance of their celestial Father and forced me to cry over their lot. My daughter, pray that all may recognize my will, and you recognize it and appreciate it. Love it more than your own life, and don't let it escape you even for one instant. Fiat. Deo gratias. Everything for the glory of God and for the fulfillment of His will. You have reached the end of Volume 34. Fiat.